Hold up.
Hey guys, it is Tristan with Nerdouts Newsstand, and we need to talk about Spider-Man No Way Home. This video will include spoilers. I really don't know how to do a review without one, and we need to talk about the good, the bad, and the super ugly. Now, I will preface this video by saying I have terrible, and I mean terrible taste in movies, because I don't watch a lot of them. I really just watch what I like. So stuff that I like includes Wonder Woman 1984 and Black Widow. There, I lost about half of you. Now let's talk about Spider-Man No Way Home, because I was extremely disappointed in this movie, and that is not the fault of Marvel. That is the hype that surrounded this. Now, pretty much if you followed this from the initial trailer, you'll know that you basically were spoiled on everything. And I was spoiled on almost every single plot point, and I still managed to cry 2 times. Yeah, I cry a lot, just so you know. If you don't know, why are you not subscribed? Come on now. You know you want to hit that red button. Anyways, let's talk about the plot, because this is not your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. If you grew up with Tobey Spider-Man or the Spider-Man that saves New York, this is your basic multiversal Spider-Man story. This is not the Spider-Man I am used to, and that's okay. That doesn't have to be the case. But unfortunately, Peter changed the entire universe in this because his friends can't get into college. Why they didn't just make a spell for them to be able to get into college is beyond me. But let's start with the plot, because I can't go into the good or the bad without telling you the basics. Basically, we have a story of picking up right at the end of the last Spider-Man movie. We have the reveal that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and it basically goes to craziness and chaos from there. We see MJ, who I actually really like. I think she's a good actress. I wasn't sold on her initially, but you know what? She did great. She wasn't funny, but she did great in this role. The only side character that I actually have pure disdain for, because he is so irritating, is Ned. And I am glad by the end of this we're getting rid of these 2 characters. I think that is going to help Peter Parker, Spider-Man, in a whole way, even though it made me cry. But going into this, it was, everybody knows who Spider-Man is. What are we going to do about this? They get arrested and released, which was really dumb. If that's all it was, to introduce Matt Murdock's Daredevil, kind of, then why? And that's actually on my good list. I really liked that little cameo. And the best part was when a brick was going through the window, and actually Daredevil, or Matt Murdock, I guess in this situation, grabs the brick. I thought that was great. I thought that was really cool. But the whole plot of them getting arrested and then immediately released, okay. All right, so let's talk about the good, because I've given you the basic premise. Yeah, they literally just reveal his name, and he's going to Doctor Strange to erase it all. The fan service in this was phenomenal. But there's a big but in that. If you remove it, this movie sucks. The nostalgia in this was phenomenal. I love Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. Now, it did feel like he really phoned it in. It felt like he was there for a paycheck, especially initially. And it was kind of a shame. I was really looking forward to it. There is no scene in these 3 movies from Tom Holland that even competes with the bus scene, or the train scene, in Tobey's Spider-Man movie. There is no scene that is that good. That scene alone is phenomenal, and nothing really weighs up in the MCU as far as Spider-Man scene goes. So, fan service, great. Nostalgia, great. Once it's removed, this movie sucks. Andrew, at the end, he does get a redeeming moment. Andrew Garfield, Spider-Man. he does get a really great redeeming moment. He was the reason basically for Gwen Stacy's death. And we see MJ fall. And we actually see him save her. And it's supposed to be a really sweet moment. And it is. For about 2 seconds and they move on. Like, it's very rushed. A lot of this was. Another really cool aspect of it is when we actually get this box, right? Okay. It's just a MacGuffin, right? Box. And if you push the button, everybody gets sent back, right? Because we have all of these people coming through that knew the name of Peter Parker because he messed up this spell that Doctor Strange did for him. Doctor Strange is very out of character. Doesn't seem like he would do something so irresponsible. But when they're in the mirror dimension fighting, I absolutely love that Peter Parker, instead of using his brawn, used his brain to trap Doctor Strange. He used math, geometry to the rescue. I thought that was phenomenal. That's probably one of my favorite scenes in there because it's very Peter Parker to me. Yeah, I loved it. So another part of the good. Willem Dafoe, phenomenal actor, always will be. But he wasn't menacing at all. He just kept saying, poor Peter. Poor Peter. What? He was not menacing like he was in the original movies. But he did a phenomenal... That man is a great actor. Just a great actor. So is Alfred Molina as Doc Ock. He did a great job also. It was really great. Another really great scene to see him and Tobey's Spider-Man get to come together and actually have that moment of reconciliation. Loved it. Yeah, that's it. We're going to go right into the bad. The plot on this is terrible. It is terrible. Whoever wrote this really, really needs to take a look at a few comic books, maybe a few writing classes. Oh boy, it is full of plot holes, and it's really a shame because the bones are there. The writing in this is really bad. If Doctor Strange is really okay with with doing a spell that erases everybody's memory because they can't get into college, there is bigger issues in the world. That was it. That was the only reason why. Yeah, their life had been upended, but no, that's all right. We just found a new condo with Happy. But we can't get into MIT, so let's erase everybody's memories. What? All right, so when they do erase everyone's memories, it doesn't work initially. And we actually get anybody that's ever come in contact with Peter Parker ever come through this something. They just show up. Okay, all right, we're okay. That's great writing. What? Why did the Peter Parkers show up? What? There was no reason that they would actually show up. If you're telling us these villains came through and were in this side of the multiverse on this Earth because they knew who Peter Parker was, fine. But that gives zero explanation as to why Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield's version of Peter Parker came through. Zero explanation whatsoever. And it was actually, initially when they came through, it was really cringy. Ned gets one of those rings that can make portals and knows how to use it almost immediately. Almost immediately he knows how to use it. It took, Doctor Strange a while. He almost froze on top of Mount Everest. But Ned, he can do it immediately. And they just kind of step through this portal. And it's really weird. And then there's a great scene. There's a great scene of them shooting their webs at each other. And I really liked that scene. But the initial of them coming through, it was like, oh my God, this is painful. It's a little bit painful. And then I seen Tobey and I'm like, yay, I love it. I just wish his acting was a little bit better in this. It really felt like he phoned it in. And that's okay. That's okay because I still got to see him and that's what matters, right? So as, I've not reviewed the previous two, so I want to put this in here. His Flash is a joke. His Flash is not good. I actually don't like his Flash Thompson at all just because I'm so used to maybe the original, where he actually looked a little menacing, right? Not the original, but I'm talking about Tobey's. And I'm gonna keep comparing it. I know I shouldn't, but when you have perfection in 2 out of 3 movies, it's really hard to live up to that. And that Flash doesn't live up to that. So the jokes were really bad. If you took out Doctor Strange and you put in Batman, and somebody looked at Batman and said, I know a magic word, it's please, like, they would be kicked out of the Batcave and never welcome them back. Never welcome back. Some of the jokes were really bad. Some of them made me laugh out loud. Maybe one. But for the most part, the humor in this wasn't even your typical kind of funny MCU humor. It just wasn't good. It just didn't land. Another issue I have with this, and I've had the entire time with this version of Spider-Man, is sexy Aunt May. Like, I find it very weird to me. She's hot. She's damn near 60 years old, and she is a beautiful woman. I'm not saying that women that age can't be sexy, but I'm so used to the Aunt May from either the comics or previous incarnations of her, and sexy Aunt May just fucks with my head. Really, really weird. And we actually see when those writing, going back to the writing, is when all of these villains come through, Peter thinks that if he fixes them, when they go back to their multiverse, they'll suddenly, for some reason, be alive. The logic in that makes no sense whatsoever, because they were all pulled from their moment right before death, right? So when they go back, they're still going to be mid-death scene, mid-dying, whatever their scene particularly was. Now, we didn't get an explanation as to where Green Goblin was, but that was because he was kind of out of his mind, and he eventually went to Aunt May to get some sort of help, which didn't work out. But if you heal them and then throw them back in their own timeline, they are still gonna die. And I love the bleeding heart that Peter has in this. I absolutely do. I love that he wants to help these people and save them. But saving them would be letting them stay in your universe, right? But then there's probably some sort of implications for that and issues, right? But putting them back in their universe with no powers isn't going to keep them from dying. And we see, like, we have Lizard, right? From the Amazing Spider-Man universe. Why was he there? Like, I get nostalgia. His CGI was terrible. I don't expect too much from the MCU, but the CGI in that was really bad. His voice was really bad, and he wasn't needed at all. Like, you could have removed him completely from the movie and nothing would have mattered. Nothing whatsoever. Not to mention, if your logic is healing them and putting them back in their own universe, quite a few of them were already dead. So how does that make sense? It really doesn't. I understand what they were going for, but it didn't work. It was a failing on the writing. It really was. Besides the selfish plot, it was a failing on the writing. So back to Aunt May. We do see her die. Right before she dies, she gives him the iconic line, with great power comes great responsibility. And I immediately welled up inside. I knew the spoilers thanks to trolls in the chat last week, but I immediately welled up inside because that's such an iconic line, because that is such a big deal. And I knew what was going to happen. I suspected, but she was walking around. So I was like, okay, maybe not yet. Right? No. And then I cried some more, but I thought that was really, really powerful. The way she delivered it, it was great. And it was just kind of an afterthought. It should have meant more. It should have been while she was laying down, like it was with Uncle Ben. It felt like it wasn't near as important as it has been in previous incarnations. And that line goes hand in hand with his suit, with his web slingers, with everything. It is a fundamental part of his character, and it should never, ever feel like an afterthought. And then we've got Tobey, right? And they're all working, trying to get the devices to heal everybody. And Tobey Maguire, his version of Peter Parker, looks at Ned. And it was this was the part where I actually did laugh out loud until I realized the implications of what he was saying. Tobey told Ned that Harry died in his arms trying to kill him. That is a lie. That is not what happened in the third Spider-Man movie. Did you watch it? Like, they were back working together at that point. He did not die in your arms trying to kill you. Why did nobody catch that? Like, I don't know if that's still me, but that sucks. That kind of sucks. Like, okay. All right. Speaking of sucking, I still don't like Andrew Garfield. I never really cared for his Spider-Man. I thought he was way too cool. And they kind of removed the coolness factor from him in this one. But he still didn't sell it for me. But that redemption scene was very good. You got to give credit where it's due. It was really good. So we got to talk about the MacGuffin box. The entire time this box, there's a big fight about it. And Peter gives it to Mary Jane to keep and says, if you don't hear from me or if something happens, push the button, everybody gets sent back to their multiverse, right? She never presses a button. Like, she doesn't hear from Peter. She doesn't press it. Some other Peters show up. She doesn't press it. Aunt May dies. She doesn't press it. Like, I get, okay. All right. Another issue I had was Sandman turning evil made 0 sense. 0 sense whatsoever. Sandman is not necessarily inherently evil. And he also had quite a bit of redemption when it came to his and Peter relationship in Spider-Man. But he was on his side when he came through the multiverse. And then all of a sudden he was like, nah, fuck it. I'm going to go with the bad guys. It made absolutely 0 sense. And there was 0 explanation to it whatsoever. And I want to compare this here just for the hell of it. We saw WandaVision. And a lot of people had an issue with Wanda brainwashing all those people. This is the same situation. He's brainwashing because at the end, we see everybody's mind is erased so they don't know who Peter Parker is. Everybody. That is a form of brainwashing very similar to what we saw in WandaVision. You removed from all those people you went to school with, all those people you worked with, every single Avenger, every single person you have talked to as Peter Parker, you have removed integral memories from them. Like, when you remove their memories, that could remove a good chunk of their personality. And especially when it comes to Ned and especially when it comes to MJ, it is very fucked up to do. Sorry, I'm going to call it. It is fucked up to brainwash people. You are brainwashing these people without consent and erasing every memory they have of Peter Parker. You are completely fucking over the Avengers just to what? Have your memory lost. And I understand the multiverse was breaking up. It was the only way to save everything because they were coming for Peter. But who was coming for Peter? We don't know. And also, again, brainwashing people is not something a hero does. I mean, that's a pretty morally gray area. I get why, but it's still not okay. It's pretty evil when it comes to especially his close relationships, right? Obviously not May because she's gone now, but all of the rest that he has, yeah, I would say that's pretty evil. Oh, goodness, this movie. It wasn't bad. I did go through a lot that was bad. Oh, one more thing I want to add. Why is this just now acting like the multiverse was established in this movie? I thought the multiverse was already established pretty damn well in Loki. I don't know. All right. This movie wasn't the worst thing ever. If you like Spider-Man, go see it. If you like the Marvel Universe, go see it. If Honestly, I would still, with all the issues I had, I would still recommend it for the fan service and nostalgia alone. It was really great to see Tobey back as Spider-Man. He is a phenomenal Spider-Man. And honestly, it was nice to see. It was nice to see Doc Ock. It was nice to see Green Goblin. Don't go for the plot. And don't expect to be super wowed. Don't think too much either. Actually, you know what? Just turn your brain off. Turn your brain off and you will love this movie. But if you can't do that, yeah, you're probably not going to. You're just probably not. I'm being honest here. You might enjoy it. You might love it. I find it very, very morally gray. And maybe it's because I like DC better. But yeah, I'm going to go out on a hard limb here and say brainwashing people isn't something you should probably do. Just saying. Anyways, let me know, of course, what you guys think about this. I will see you in the next one.